Strikes by Israel and Iran have continued over the weekend as fighting between the two countries intensifies. Israel says that Iranian missile strikes last night have killed 3 people and wounded dozens more. Meanwhile, Iran's health ministry says that Israeli attacks have now killed 224 people since Friday.
We're going to be speaking to the chair of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee, Emily Thornberry, this morning. But before we do, here's Jonathan Swain with what the conflict means for us here in the UK.
Susanna, thanks very much indeed. Hello, good morning. Well, Britain isn't directly involved in this conflict, but it soon could be, because we already have military ships and jets in the region, and the Prime Minister has confirmed that we're now sending more. But there's also a worrying development, because if RAF Typhoon jets are used to defend Israel, Iran has now said that UK military bases in the region could become legitimate targets. But it's not just our military on alert. Our bank balances should be as well, because fuel prices and energy costs are expected to rise. The price of oil shot up on Friday when the bombs first started dropping. This morning, as you can see, it's dropped off a bit at just over $74 a barrel. But the cost of that is expected to go higher, because Iran are now threatening to close the Strait of Hormuz. It's a vital bit of sea in the Middle East, and that would see the disruption to more than 20 million barrels of oil that pass through there every day. And remember, when Russia invaded Ukraine, our energy bills soared and the government had to step in with a £400 discount off our bills. So will the government do the same this time? That's June, we're coming up to summer, and this may affect your holiday plans. The Foreign Office is already saying don't travel to Israel, but keep an eye out if you're planning a trip to any of these countries during the summer, such as Turkey, Cyprus and even Egypt down there, because if this conflict escalates, there could be restrictions in these countries too. So this then is a conflict that is, yes, thousands of miles away, but we have military on the doorstep and it could affect our prices, our travel plans. But Richard and Susanna, more importantly, lots of lives are at stake as well, aren't they?
Jonathan, thanks very much indeed. Right, the chair of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee, Dame Emily Thornberry, joins us now. Very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Israel is our ally. Are they doing the right thing?
No, they're not doing the right thing. We were in the middle of, or the Americans were talking to the Iranians about how to ensure that they didn't continue to enrich uranium and stop themselves building a bomb. And right in the middle of those talks, the Israelis decide that they're going to get involved in bombing Iran. And you may remember...
On new information from the International Atomic Energy Agency.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, like, in 2015, there was another deal that was done by Obama with Israel, with Iran, and Israel stepped in again, lobbied really hard, and then when Donald Trump got elected, he stopped the deal again. So there have been attempts to talk to the Iranians to make sure that they don't. I mean, they've got uranium mines, they've got uranium in their country, and to make sure they were just using it for peaceful purposes and not for making bombs. And slowly, they have been getting closer and closer to being able to make a bomb. But we have lost our agreement that we had like 10 years ago, because the Israelis were lobbying against it, because Donald Trump was against it. Then Donald Trump decides he really needs to have a deal, and the Israelis start bombing again. So I really wish this hadn't happened. I think that people should step back on both sides, and I think in the end these things can only be sorted if people talk.
The Iranian regime has repeatedly over the years sworn to annihilate the state of Israel from the river to the sea. They've repeatedly sworn death on Israel and every single Jewish person who lives there. Is it not reasonable for the Jewish state to do something to protect itself? And, I put the second point to you, aren't they actually doing us a bit of a favour in taking on a state which no one in their right minds would want to have a nuclear weapon? And as you say, they could be weeks away from getting one.
So let's take it in 2 stages.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, the Israelis have every reason to be concerned about Iran, and they have been for... I mean, Netanyahu has been talking about this for 20 years. And yes, it's right but it isn't just about them. It is about the whole world, and the world needs to make sure that there are proper negotiations and that we talk properly to the Iranians and we get a deal with them and we make sure that
Would you trust them? to keep to a deal? I mean, they're not allowing the UN inspectors to come and visit their uranium reprocessing facilities. They've stopped them coming in. They clearly have something to hide.
I'm not here to apologise for Iran, right? I mean, it's not exactly, you know, flavour in the mouth for anybody.
I know
right?
that.
But, I mean, we did have a deal as a world with Iran in 2015, and then we walked away from it in 2017. So I suppose there's an argument that, you know, there's not been great behaviour on either side in relation to this. And then when you're in the middle of negotiations, you get bombed. You can see why Iran might not have very much trust for the rest.
Deals can be broken and a nuclear bomb can't be undropped.
I mean, I hear you. I understand what you're saying. I mean, I think that the Iranians have been close to being able to build a bomb for quite a long time, but haven't done so. And why haven't they done so? And we need to work on that. And, right, so that's my answer to that bit. The second bit is Israel doing the right thing, doing us all a favour by attacking in this way? Unless they can get rid of all of the nuclear, you know, paraphernalia, unless they can get to the sort of Dr. No type mountain that has half a mile under it, allegedly, a centre in which they are enriching uranium, then no. Because if they just wound it and walk away and they still have the capacity, then clearly it makes it extremely dangerous. And the Israelis go into this knowing that they don't have the bunker busters that they need to have in order to be able to get into the bottom of this mountain. Only the Americans do. So I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they're going into it on the idea of trying to change the regime in Iran. That's another question. Or whether they're just trying to clip the wings of their ability to be able to build a bomb. But if they're just trying to clip the wings, then aren't they actually going to make the Iranians double down and go, well, do you know what? The only way we're going to be safe in future is to make sure we do have one of these bombs. I think that... Like North Korea.
Israel is clearly trying to weaken the Iranian regime. And according to the Telegraph this morning and American officials, the idea was to kill the supreme leader of Iran. Donald Trump vetoed that plan. It sounds like that would have caused a significant escalation. What do you think would have been the consequences? And you've criticised Donald Trump, but presumably you think that that was a good move to stay those plans.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether it was something that Netanyahu said he was going to do or whether Donald Trump said to him, you better not kill the Ayatollah. I really don't know one way or the other. Clearly, it's not a good idea for one country to be going into another one and trying to change their government, no matter how despicable that government is, and try and kill the leaders of other countries, because we end up with the Wild West. You know, I don't like your country, I'm going to invade it and I'm going to change your government and kill your leader. I mean, it's really... We're not supposed to be doing this anymore. We're supposed to have learned.
As Richard mentions, Iran, you know, their mission is to destroy Israel.
They talk about it. They do talk about it. But whether, I mean, actively, that is not happening.
Well, there was a country close to ours, which was a rogue state, and was dedicated to the destruction of this country, the literal destruction of this country and the deaths of every person in it. And we knew that they were weeks away from getting a nuclear bomb. Do you not think that we might take some fairly strong action?
I think that, I mean, I hear you and I understand what you're saying, but as I say, this has been an ongoing situation that has been going on for years. And what the world has decided is that the best way of going about dealing with this is to negotiate. But what keeps happening is that Israel gets into the middle of it and says, no, you're not going to talk. Don't trust the Iranians. We can't come to a deal with them. This is what they said in 2017. And now, in the middle of the negotiations, they get involved in bombing.
And finally, because we'll have to end this, do you really have much faith in negotiations with what is effectively a death cult? I mean, the Iranian regime is a death cult. It oppresses its own people. It oppresses women in particular.
Absolutely.
And it makes this existential threat to Israel. Can you really trust anything that they agree to?
I mean, we would all want there to be a new government in Iran. You know, and probably the majority of the population.
That's what Israel says it wants.
Well, exactly. But the way to do it is not this. I mean, I don't believe that there will be Iranian people who want to get rid of the government, but they're also deeply patriotic, and they're not going to want. They're going to start coming towards the Ayatollahs because they're being attacked by a foreign power. This is not necessarily helping.
Dame Emily Thornbury, thank you very much indeed. We'll let you get back to the Foreign Affairs Select Committee because you've got a lot of talking to do yourself.
A lot of work to do.
Thank you.